So last time we talked about TestNG options and parameters. Today we will talk about data providers. Okay. So for this, again, let's go to the official website, testng.org, and go to the documentation and read about data provider. Data provider. Yes, this one. Fine. Any example? I'm going down. Yes, yes. Okay. Not this. This one. Okay. So basically, there they have explained how to get the data and all. If you remember, last time what we did is data coming from the XML file, right? Data was coming from the XML file like this. You are using @parameter annotation, and this data actually was coming from XML, this parameter browser. The same thing you were able to capture here, right? In this string. But this is coming from the XML. Let's assume I don't want to pass the data from the XML. I want to get it maybe in the test class itself or some other way. So let's understand that part now. So let's understand that this test@test.com, this value, right, and this password which I have hard coded here, I want this data should come to the test case, right? Even before starting the test case. Generally, it happens. If you think in manual testing, what we do, we already know what kind of data we are going to put, right? Back of our mind, we already know whether it is a positive test flow, negative test flow. Based on that, we already know what kind of test data we want to provide. So in TestNG, there is a way you can declare @data provider, @data provider, and data provider will be actually a function, will, will, will be again a function which will return object, which will return two-dimensional object. Let me write it properly. Okay, so data provider, and you can give any name like test data for invalid login, right? Something like that, let's say. And here I can have my code, okay? But at the end, you have to return something, right? So either you create it like this. Let me create it. So I'll say object two-dimensional array and the name, let's say data is equals to, in the bracket. As I'm saying two-dimensional, there should be rows and columns. There must be rows and columns. So you can have multiple rows and columns. So this will be the first row, comma, second row. It's like this. So if I'll say here, my first row is test@qatestology.com, and comma, second parameter is password, right? So let me put anything, QWERTY, something like this. And my second data set is, uh, you can say check@check.com, and comma, and password is, let's assume, ASDFGHJ, something like this. It is showing me error. Why? Because you have to write new object here. Okay. There are multiple ways of declaring an object array. Let me see here what they have done. Return new object. Yeah, it's a capital O here, right? So object is equals to new object, and then you can have data, right? Maybe some syntax mistake we are doing. I'm checking that. New object. So either you just say new object, something like this, okay, and then data. I'm checking whether we can do this. So data is equals to this and this here. First row, second row, and then why do we need one more comma here? I don't think so. Okay. And public void. Here public object. Okay. Fine. The mistake we are making. Oh, I have to put the size. So let's say 2 by 2. That is fine. The first line is fine. And either you say data 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, like 1011 is like this. But I was thinking why to do that, right? So that's why I don't want to do this. Okay. So let me actually comment it as of now. Comment. But I need this data. But I need this data. Let me put it like this. It should work basically. Yeah. Yeah, now it's fine. So I have commented it like putting in that way. Hold on. So this is my data, and I will say return data. Okay. So this is capital O, and it will work with object only. Okay. Object is a generic data type. It can have a string, it can have integer, anything it can have. Read about it. Okay. So every class has object as a superclass. Wow. Okay. Every class has object as a superclass. Class object is the root of the class hierarchy. So all objects, including array, implements the method of this class. Matlab means object has some method which is used by its subclasses. Anyways, now here, if I want to get this data, I want to get the set of data like this one, and there are two set of data. This is user ID password, right? That means you want to execute this test case 2 times automatically. It will happen. You don't have to do anything. Only thing is you have to mention what data provider you have. So in the bracket, you have to say my data provider is equals to the bracket. What is your data provider? My data provider is this one. Okay. So I will say my data provider is this. But when you are saying my data provider is this, you should know that what it is returning. It is returning, first row is this, second row is this. So first row, both things are a string, right? So means the whole data is a string only, but there are two values every time. So you should say string email, comma string passwd. So two values will come here, and instead of putting it here hard coded, we'll say email. And here also, instead of hard coding this, we'll say password. Okay. I will show you, I'll make it 14 seconds so that I'll be able to show you at the runtime the data is coming from there. Okay. Fine. That's it. And Let me put it here. A very simple test case. We are doing validate error message when invalid credentials we are giving. So both the credentials here are invalid. It's not like it's a valid credential. It's an invalid credential. And now let's run this. So I'll save this, right click, run as test.ng test. Opening this, putting this test at the rate. See here, this data has come from data provider. Okay. Now that QWERTY will be there in 14 seconds. I can show you here. See here. Oh. Our mistake. I'll tell you what mistake we have done. Our mistake is here I have put email. It should be password. It should be password. If you want to stop your test case to be executed, what you can do is you can click on this icon and there is a terminate button. I'll click here. The whole test case execution will be terminated. Now I will run this again. So let's run it. Run as. So that is how, you should check in real practical also whether things are going fine or not. We should double sure that, okay, what data we are passing is actually coming here. Okay. Now you will observe that after 14 seconds, it will put it here. See here, if I see here, it's QWERTYTY. That is coming. After 4 seconds, it should click on login and it's working right now. Automatically, it will execute one more test case. See here, I didn't do anything. It's now will execute it by check@check.com. And I think ASDFG, those password we have put. So that password will come here. Okay. See here, that password has come here. Now it will click on login and it will go. So this particular data provided thing are very important if you want to use it in this way. Another way may be like what you can do is smartly in your test case, you can create data provider for each of the test case wherever you need data, right? For each test case, there may be data. So here I am saying test data for invalid login, which is related to this test case, correct? What you can do is this data can come from Excel sheet. So here your code will come, code to get data for a particular test from Excel sheet. And then from the Excel sheet, once you get, you will fill the data, you will fill the object and you will return it. Now your question may be like, I don't want to execute twice. Why we are, okay, first of all, let's see the report. In the report, if you will see here, things will be very clearly mentioned. Hold on. It is mentioned that you have executed data provider demo1 class. This is the function name. This is another function name. Both are same because we have executed a single test case twice. First test case is executed with this test data and second test case is executed with this test data. Okay. So test-ng reports this report in Eclipse itself is very helpful on understanding what is happening, what test cases are executed, where the error is coming. Everything will be properly mentioned here. Okay. Okay, I was saying that I don't want to send two data. It's fine. You just delete this. You don't want to send the second set of test data. perfectly fine. That's it. Okay. So this time, only one time it will be executed. Let's run it again so that you will see that it will be executed just once. So the password will be provided here and click on login will happen and things are done. So if you see this password, this is QWERTTY, which is passed from here, just a single set of data, and another set of data will means it will not execute one more time. It will say only one test case. Here it's saying test case run one passes one. If you see the result, it is saying me this that you have executed it once. In the output window, it is saying this particular validate error message when invalid credential is passed. And what was that data? This is the invalid credential you have passed, and it is working fine. Okay. So data provider is good. In some project, what they do is they create the whole set of data provider class. Means there will be separate class itself in your automation framework. There will be a package which is just data provider. So for every what we say test class, maybe you will get the test data from that particular class. Okay. So for example, this is my first class. Let's say login page test or whatever name is there. Like here, somewhere we will mention which is my data provider class. Means here you can say data provider class also. Okay. So when you say data provider class, you will mention the class name from where it will come. Okay. I am checking if we'll get example of this, that's fine. If you will not get it, that is also fine. You have to try on your own. Okay. Let me search data provider class. Yes, there is option where data provider class and there is a class name. Where is this, and this? Okay. In a simple way, I'll make you understand this, and we can do this thing as well. I'm checking, is there any better example than this? Hmm, no. So data provider class example only once they have provided. So that's fine, but it is very useful. It's very useful. Where is that data provider class? This one. Fine. Here itself I'll make. So let's say there is one class. So I'll say new class and I'll give the name as data provider utility. You can give any name, right? I am giving this data provider utility. There is a class and there you can have data provider kind of annotations, right? So here I'll say this and you should make this as static. The reason is means the current value will be you can access this, okay, not just the current. The thing is you can access it through class name. Whenever you have static methods or static variables, you can access it without creating the object of it. Okay. Here you have data provider and this is like return object, new object, and new object, some integer value it is saying. But it's up to you how you want to do it. So let's understand this. This is a method and return new object. I'm making it simplified. I'll make it simple. Don't worry. I will make it like, hold on. I'll make it like return new object and hold on. And here I'll mention Nitish, comma, because there should be at least one row. Here I'll say Chan. Okay, what is the problem here is it's a two-dimensional thing. So, okay, now it's fine. It is expecting that there will be another row. So actually, after, after comma, understand this, there will be another row, right? Here, let's say here it will come, let's say selenium, right? First data, comma, training, something like this. If I'll save this, so this we have created one data provider class. There may be multiple. So this one is, let's say, you can give the name based on your test case. So this one is experiment, experiment. And then you can create one more data provider. So here we will say data provider learning. Okay. So you can say, um, you can say valid credential, valid credential, credential for login, valid credential for login. And this function name will be something, right? So here name means this name will be used. This name will be, it's optional. If you want to give, it's good. Here, this, both the name are, so let me make it also experiment. You can give any name, that's fine. And here it will be login data. Okay. And here, let's put a valid login data for uh, opening our website, gmail.com. And I'll not provide this second line, just one set of data is enough. And here, I'll provide some password. Okay, that's fine. It's done. Now, in my test case, let's say I'll make one more test case. Okay, I'll make one more test case. Okay, so we can create the test case and we can say, this is my data provider function name, and this from this class, take that thing. Okay, got it. So now let me create one more test case. Hold on, copying this. But this time it is not invalid. It will be a valid login. So here I will say my data provider is login data. My data provider is login data. From where it will come? It will come from a class which is, which we should mention it like this, static provider. No, this class name dot class. So we'll say it will come from data provider utility class. So we'll say it will come from data provider utility dot class. Okay, fine. But then this will be validate valid login. It's not invalid. Valid login or validate login, something like this. Valid login with valid credential. Okay. This email and password will be same. Everything will be same. Okay. So I am saying from here, get the data from this class, go to the login data, which is this login data, and get this test data. So here, now things will work. Let me not run this thing. Hold on. I'll make it enabled is equals to false. Okay. So that this test case will not be executed. Okay, great. Done. I think this time this error message is not going to come. So this particular thing is not required. Only thing we'll see that there will be a proper, next page will come. A new page will come. Okay. So if I'll run this now, let's see what is going. Oh, error. And the error is we made some mistake. Let me check it. We are making some mistake. It's saying testng exception. Some problem with your testng part itself. Fine. Maybe some syntax mistake. Some syntax mistake. I'm checking what can be kind of mistake we can make. As per this example, it's very simple that you give a name to the data provider from a class and you get it from there. In your test, you will say my data provider is this, my data provider class is this, get it from there. So in the same way, what we did is we created data provider utility.java where we said at the rate data provider is, oh, okay. Have I mentioned this? Hold on. I should mention my, oh, not login data. It's this valid credential for login, correct? If you see here, the name of this data provider is this, not login data. It's this. Now it should work. So this time, if I run this, it's working. So this time login credentials will be see here, it's a valid one. So once it will provide the password and it will click on the login, then there will be successful message. There will be no error message. Okay. So it's going to click on the login button now. And because we are providing the valid credential, see here, success is coming. So done. Test case is executed. We are now in the new page. So that is executed. To make you understand again, I'll show you one more. Just to print it. Just to print it. We have made one more thing, right? So let's make one more method. We'll make one more method. Here I'll say @test and my data provider is something, comma, my data provider class is something. It's very simple, right? What was my data provider class? My data provider class is this one, data provider utility. This is my class dot utility dot. Why it's not coming? Anyways, okay, because we have not made the method, so let me make it first. So public void check, and here I'll say string x comma string y And here we'll just print it. We'll say system.out.println x plus \t plus y. Okay, dot utility dot class, and my method name is experiment. This one, I'll say experiment. Okay, and we will not run this. Let me make enabled is equals to false. Fine. So this time we are going to execute this test case only. And how clean it is. It is just like, hey, get the data from here and from this class. And see, you can utilize those data anywhere in your test step. I am just printing it. If I'm able to print it, means I can able to get it and I can use it anywhere in my test case. So if you see here, experiment has two set of data. It's like first row is this, second row is this. And if I'll execute this, I should be able to get it one by one, right? I'll put a debug point here so that you will understand what I'm saying. So debug as test_ng test. So if you will see here, very first time when it will be stopped, if I'll hover over X, Nitesh has come, hover over Y, Jain has come, and it is printing Nitesh Jain. Then again, one more time it will be executed. One more time it will be executed. I am again here. This time X is Selenium, Y is training. So in that way, you get the data and how very useful it is. Very useful it is. If you want to set the data, there are multiple ways. One way is you pass the data from XML file. Another way is get the data from the data provider, like this, what we are doing. Another way is you create the utility to get this data from the Excel sheet. You should get, if you are very much concerned that I should not put data here, hard-coded one in the Java file, you should make a function here, get data from XLS and fill this object values from the Excel sheet. And then you don't have to hard code it. You just have to return new object, but that object should be filled. Means object 00 will be something. Object 01 will be something. Object 11 will be something. Something like that. Okay. In that way, we do data provided thing.